Welcome to the Pure Light Project podcast. My name is Andrea and today I'm going to be talking with Nicole Gibbs from Awakening Mass Meditations. And from Nicole Gibbs, right? We want to find out who she is.
Thank
uh,
you.
and I've had the sincere pleasure of getting to know Nicole over the last few months, probably since about February. We've been part of a project together called the Summit of Light. And what's been so inspiring is to see her heart, how passionate she is, and also how um, practical in many ways, like the way she approaches meditation, but then the just the expansive heart that you feel. I hope that as you're listening to this and watching this, that you get to feel her heart in the way that I've been able to feel it. No pressure there, Nicole, right?
Yeah, thank you. I
but
appreciate your words.
but yeah, so let's get into it. So Nicole, welcome to the Pure Light Project podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this.
Yeah, we've done some panels together for the summit and had some conversations outside of that. And uh that's something we can share about later on when we get towards the end of this. But right now, I want to talk about you and what it is. Well, tell us about you. Like, just give us a little bit of, who's Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little bit about me. I guess I'll start from where I came from because I think that's a big piece of my awakening journey. And so, just a little bit, I come from a Mormon family. And so that really put a little seed in my mind that there's something greater out there, but it wasn't really matching up with just what I felt was authentic, if that makes sense. So throughout my journey, it was pretty much my whole childhood, really. Anytime I was in a situation where I was like in a church situation, I always found myself thinking, like, why is it like this? Why is it like this? Like, I always asked the why, like, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I just needed something real. I'm a tangible person. I need something that I can see, understand, visualize, just like that was the thing I was missing. And so it wasn't really too long on my journey. I had always had like a passion for numbers, patterns, geometries, things like that. So like me as a kid, I'm like sitting in church and I'm like adding up the numbers of the hymns and they're like doing weird numbers, things in my head, so not present. But in my mind, I'm like patterns, numbers, geometries, this is real to me. So that kind of like was in the background of what I knew was something real to me. And so I think it was not until I learned actually about Egyptian pyramids and Egyptian times and their sacred geometry that they were finding inscribed all over the world, not just Egypt. But that
Yeah.
really was like, so there's something greater out there. I knew it. And now I need to like tap into this unintelligent, why do we say that? The intelligent, unlimited energy that there
Yeah.
is. Like, that was what sparked up in my consciousness. And so I was hungry for this information. I was like, this is it. This is what fires my soul up, and I need to know more. So learning more about sacred geometry, learning about um, Dr. Emoto doing experiments
Mm.
on the water with
Yeah.
freezing them in snowflakes and different types of things like that. Just
But
everything's energy is what I came to learn. Everything's energy. Everything is frequency, patterns. And so that is something that I hold dear to my heart. And what
yeah.
really, I think that's a really big piece of my just experience is just having this in my background, frequency and energy. So taking it to present time, I now am an EEG technologist. So I read brainwaves and frequencies and, seeing different states of consciousness. So it's literally like taking all my passions and putting it into a job that I didn't know existed. But I get to watch frequencies, consciousness, and it's just the most amazing thing to see in real time. For instance, when we drift into a drowsy state or get sleepy, we go into a theta state. I'm really seeing these changes of our brainwaves going
Yeah.
from a faster to slower state. And so it just makes it that much more real. And like I can see this. So I literally seeing the correlation, the people's
Yeah.
effects with how they work. And I mean, It
Well, and
just
the theta state, so that's
yeah.
fascinating, right? I mean, I know this much about it, more than
Mhm.
this much, but not all the way, right?
Yeah.
Um, the my first introduction to it really was when I started reading and hearing about theta healing, as an energy
Exactly.
healing modality, and starting to understand that, because I'd always loved the beautiful sort of in between, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Between like deep rest and waking, and
Mhm.
that beautiful sacred space in the mornings, and you can actually wake up and ride that out. You can stretch that out if you don't
Yeah.
get up and like rush into your day and you got 20
Exactly.
minutes and the biggest mug of coffee in the world, and like you can stretch that out for hours if
Absolutely.
you allow yourself to. So that's really neat. um yeah, I
So
love
good.
it. So
I mean,
so you're doing this work, reading brain waves and seeing states of consciousness. When you started that job, was that like, did you know that was going to happen? Right?
absolutely not. I mean, that's definitely part of the intuitive journey that I just had to flow with.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until later because I just wanted to do something that was, in the medical field, brain related would be cool. But I didn't know really what it meant to do EEGs, reading brainwaves, until like I got into it. And now I'm like seeing it backed by, Joe Dispenza and all these people that use it for their research project to really show, like you were saying, the theta state right before we go to bed, right when we wake up. If we are not aware that we can use this magical time,
Mm.
we're only in it for 10, 15 minutes max, and it's gone. And that's big morning and night put together. And so if we really use that awareness to know that this is a magical state, when we are in a theta state, when our brain is moving in a frequency of just really, it's so slow. It's like 3 to 6 waves per second. So normally in our wake state, we're like 10 to 12 waves in a second. So it's really fast. Again, you brought up the coffee, and different stimulants take us even higher into a beta where it's almost like you're anxious. That's what when people are anxious, we correlate that same frequency. And
Yeah.
so when you come back to the theta, this is where we are able to make our manifestations happen, like quantum speeds on the physical. When we're in this space between wake and sleep, we are literally in the conscious realm interacting with our higher self if you give yourself that space. And
Yeah.
so to be able to, even have a conversation with yourself, visualize what you want, anything in this state when you morning and night, I mean, your life will change dramatically when you
Yeah.
notice taking the time to really, what do you want? I mean, that's a big question right there. Does anybody really know? They just know the routine. I got to get up. I got to get my coffee. I got to go to work. I got to do this. Right. And so that just like routine takes away immediately from the possibility of even being able to get into a state that allows you to manifest.
Yeah.
So really
You know,
just being
I
aware of that.
I remember, I mean, years and years ago, long before I really had any awareness of this kind of stuff, my dad, who he's certainly not like a metaphysical kind of guy or a consciousness explorer,
Mhm.
but he was always he loved the books like The Power of Positive Thinking and all of those, those are the classics. uh, and he said once that if he needed an answer to something before he went to sleep, he would just ask the question. And in the
Mhm.
morning, he would wake up and he would have the answer. Right.
Wow,
And that has stayed with me for probably 30 years. Right. I mean, I
that's
was a
huge.
young adult when he first said that. And I just, so I've used that throughout my life when I really needed an answer to something.
Mhm.
And it's so interesting too, because what you do prior to going to sleep can deeply affect the night time, or your sleep time,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
and what you're putting into your head. Are you filling
Mhm.
it with, you know, low vibrational stuff? Are you reading scary stories? I'm sorry, there are mosquitoes. I'm in a camper and there are mosquitoes.
Sorry.
They're my new mastery friends
Yeah,
the
right.
right now. I'm not usually going like this.
They're bringing
Movie.
in the good energy for you.
Yeah, you know, so it's really like such a important thing to notice what you're putting in
Mhm,
to your mind and your heart and your awareness in your field prior to drifting off to sleep and as you wake up, you know?
mhm. Yeah, that is literally so big. And I'm going to throw a little piece of meditation in there, considering that's with Awakening Mass Meditations. I did create this because when I participated in a mass meditation, the first one I participated was so profound on just, you could feel it was a collective thing. It wasn't just a personal thing. Like the energy, I was seeing it in like places around me. Like I can't even explain. It just was a direct correlation. And so I was like, why aren't we doing this more? This is like how we really get things done as a collective and make that manifestation happen, not just individual before you go to bed, but collectively,
Mhm.
so much more grand. We can affect the weather. We can affect, the
Oh, yeah.
energy around us, the crime, the frequencies, literally everything when we
Yeah.
come together with that same visualization. But I do have to say, when you are going to bed, this is not necessarily the best time for a meditation. This is more a time for manifestation.
Yes.
Um, when you, like Andrea was saying, you think about what you want before you go to bed, and maybe in the morning you're going to have that happen. Like, be ready if you're like aligned and everything. But
Yeah.
meditation, if you do this in bed before you go to bed, you're just going to drift off into a sleep state, which is okay. But at that point, you're not really doing a meditation that's tailored to a specific goal you have intentions going in with, for example. So when you go into bed, that's correlated with sleep. Like those are the two things, bed
Sure.
and sleep. So when you get into bed and you want to do a really good meditation where you have like an intention where you're trying to maybe connect with your higher self or go into the Akashic records or do something
Mhm.
for your shadow work, I recommend do not do this in bed and to have a space specifically created for you, maybe in your house or a place that will eventually take on your energy and become your space. But when you're in bed and you start to drift off and go to sleep, it kind of defeats the purpose of that. So using that for manifestations instead and just having these visuals of, your desires at that moment and save your
Mhm.
meditation for a beautiful space outside or a room specific for you, you will
Mhm.
notice these types of things. Even when you get into that space, a piece of you will like activate literally because you're changing the energy of that space. I just wanted to throw that in there for
Yeah,
that.
well, and, to, like, certain postures,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so for many, 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 many years, I sat meditation, in a specific posture, and my body instantly drops into the state with a lot more ease when I resume that posture, you know?
Mhm.
There
Yes.
was there came a time when I was having a lot of issues with my hips and my knees, and I couldn't sit in that posture anymore. And
Mhm.
at the same time, the immense energies coming into the planet, into our bodies, and all the shifts were happening. I couldn't sit anymore. So I
Yeah.
had to find a new way to do it. And honestly, it took me about 2 years to
Mhm.
find a new way and to sort of get my body to settle
Mhm.
enough in a very different sitting. So I used to sit, sort of traditional on a cushion, cross-legged, and then I had always been fascinated with these little meditation benches. And so I built one for myself, and that that was weird for my body. But
Mhm.
boy, wow, the spine
Really?
was really, like, open, all the channels in my
Mhm.
spine. It took all the
Yes.
pressure off, I loved it, and so then once my body adapted to that, now it's like, "Ooh," and it's these things that make it easy for us to get into the state, uh, as we're practicing,
Mhm. Yeah.
versus sitting in bed. Man, I get it. That's not a place I've ever been able to actually
Yeah.
meditate, like,
Yeah.
not really. I can
Yeah.
lay there and be
Mhm.
silent and still,
Absolutely.
but it's not, it literally feels very different,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
so,
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. Thank you. And
yeah,
we really can create these spaces the more we do it, like practice, like you were saying, sitting in different postures. Eventually, that becomes the posture or the space. So as soon as you get into that space, it's like you're already like in the ether, bringing in information and things like that.
yeah.
It's just quicker
Well,
and quicker the more you practice, essentially, in that space.
yeah. And do you find, in your experience, I love that we call it practice, right? I
Mm,
love that it's practice because what I find is, like, I'm practicing, I'm bringing all of that in, I'm sending it all out, and it's like building up this just massive reserves in me so that I
mhm.
can go out and continue that state, like the gas tank is full,
Yes,
and it
absolutely.
carries me a very long way because, like, in that 2 years when it was very hard for me,
Mhm,
it took almost 15 years of pretty regular practice.
mhm,
It I was able to run on those reserves for almost 2 years of
mhm,
having that regular practice interrupted. And
mhm.
then at the end, like, I'm like, "Mama's gotta figure this out." Like, I've gotta find a way to get myself back into the deeper states.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yep.
tell us about what does that mean for you? What is practice for you? How does
Yeah,
it play out in your
absolutely.
life?
So what's kind of I decided to hold myself accountable because that's the only way I can really like do things regularly. And so having awakening mass meditations every month on the 11th, holding myself accountable that we're doing this every month, ready or not, here we come. Like that
Okay.
was a big piece for me to realize for my own regular practice that if I set a specific date, maybe not for my like individual work, but just in general, if I set a specific date every month that we are doing this, no matter what, I am going to notice a shift in my life. Like that's just what I decided. So when I created Awakening Mass Meditations to have regular mass meditations on the 11th of every month, it was just month after month that I kept showing up for myself. I was just really, really, gosh, I don't know if appreciative or thankful or grateful, these words really do enough justice for what it did for me. It awakened my soul more than I could even express. I knew it's what I needed to do here. I knew I needed to bring meditation, not just for the collective, but in a more regular way to help myself realize that this is what you need to do like literally every day. And if you don't,
Mm,
you're going to notice. And so for me, creating my awakening mass meditations really helped me get into my own regular practice. And so it started for a little while. Every day at work, I would have a down period for a while. And we have this thing called the Zen Den. It's really nice. You go to the Zen Den and there's like nobody in there. So I would go
yeah.
and just hang out there and regularly I would practice different types of meditations. I actually used a app, um, Black Lotus is what it's called by Om Swami, who is the one of that. So he does, different chanting, silent meditation, different types of, there's just so many different types. So I just
Sure,
was
sure.
experiencing and playing around. And I just was trying to figure out which one I liked the best, which one worked for me, which one can I set the deepest in, different times of the day, just like playing around. There's so many. That's the funnest part about the practice is you can explore it all. So every day I was taking this downtime to go into the Zen den and practice different types of meditation. But this also helped me realize what's the best for how I can bring it to the collective for my regular mass meditations. But also, like you were saying, your fuel tank is up when you're doing it and you can give, you have stuff to give. I was noticing the same thing. My regular meditations every day, I was like excited to serve, and just like give and see what I can, do for others and myself. I just felt like I was floating. That's really it.
Yeah.
I was just like floating. That's how I lived. But when I would take the times off, when I would have like a busy day where I couldn't get into there, I would notice being a little more short or just a little more
Mm,
faster anxiousness, maybe in my chest or my throat, not being able to speak my truth, just little things that I was probably doing every day, but I didn't realize until I was floating that there's so much more to myself when I'm in that space.
Yeah.
So I just was like, holy crap, like this is a whole nother me. And I just feel amazing. So it's like, it was hard to, like when I would have my down days, it's not like I could just be like, it's because I didn't do my meditation. I know this. I need to get into the space, take a breath, bring it back. And then I'm
Yeah.
floating again.
Mhm.
But the energy of life, you'll have down times, you'll have up times, and you just kind of play with it and practice with it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I know when I would be, you could always tell when maybe I wasn't as regular, and Misty, my wife, she'd be like, go sit on your cushion, like, go
Absolutely.
meditate, please.
Honestly,
You
it is a
know,
physical change.
it's and it's amazing because it's not just so the interesting thing about it is it's not just uh like you get this much and then once it's gone, it's gone. It's not like a linear thing of you start here and then you start to use it and it's gone. It's actually very, very regenerative, even if you aren't practicing. Like you probably, like if you practice on a regular, semi-regular basis, and then that is you stop or it gets interrupted, right? Like it's not one to one at
Mm,
all.
mhm. Yeah,
It's it's still because that right, that joy, that expansion of, "Oh, this is what's possible," taking that state out into the world, however long
mhm,
it lasts, like, as you put out, it's also coming back into your field. It's very much like this beautiful,
absolutely.
it's more like 2 or 3 to 1 in terms of you maybe burn off
Mhm.
one, but you're still getting back. It takes a long time. But
Absolutely.
man, when you've been in those states, and I'm not even talking about the euphoric highs that you
Mm,
can access, the bliss states. It's just the level of peace and meeting your day with a
yes.
little more like ability to see and allow a little space
Mhm, mhm,
in
mhm.
conversations, in disagreements, like all of
Yes,
those things, the things that truly create peace in the world long
yes.
term. Wow, man. Like
Mhm,
that's so life-giving back to
mm,
us when we
mhm.
give it out. So I would love
Awesome.
for you to explain that. So hey, I'd like to hear about your first experience a little bit more of the mass meditation. What did that look like? Right? What was that? And then when you say mass meditations, what does that mean to you? What is that
Mhm.
specifically?
Yeah. So the first mass meditation I participated in, um, it was actual virtual event for me. It was the Disclosure Fest in DC in 2016, and it was a virtual event because was in Oregon, so I obviously couldn't come to DC at that time. And so the virtual event, they just have video of just like looking at an overview of this whole space everyone in. It was basically a festival. It was like tents everywhere, people with yoga mats out everywhere, just being their authentic self. Just the space alone was so high vibration. Excuse me. Just looking at that, everyone being able to be themselves with no expectations, no judgments. We're just in this, and everyone could just let go. I don't know, just seeing that in itself was just like, we're doing this, can I come? Like, this is where I'm at. So just seeing that space was beautiful. And then taking it to the mass meditation, it was led by, I believe, Corey Good at that time. And he did a elemental one where it's earth, fire, water, wind, and we were just like visualizing ourselves in these different states, and then we ended up coming together as a collective. And the it wasn't so much the visuals, that obviously they were amazing, but when I was closing my eyes, I literally felt like I was on a journey with thousands of people. Like I was visualizing what he was saying, but the feeling was like overwhelming of unconditional love. Like I was just streaming tears of emotion, but in the most happy way. Like, this is a possibility. We're all together now with one intention. Like, I'm getting choked up saying this now because we have this ability as a oneness energy. We all want the same thing. We all want peace. We all want love. We all want happiness. We want a beautiful earth and planet that's clean and harmonized. This is something we can do. There's so many of us. We all want the same thing. Why don't we use that in our favor as a tool to really expand our collective, to bring the peace? It's not just an individual journey, it's collective. So the mass meditation really takes this, what we're doing, and amplifies it so high. Like the correlations are so instantaneous. I just can't even express enough that when we come together with a single goal, everything, I mean, that's the answer. You can do whatever that is. It's got to be aligned and we have to come together. It's the only way. That's how I am passionate.
So, what's the most like personally exciting experience you've had maybe lately, right? Like in the
Mhm,
last year, what's been the most exciting? You came in with an intention for something as a
mhm.
group,
Yeah.
and you like really saw something.
Mhm,
Is there
mhm.
a story
Yes,
there you can share?
you actually just sparked that up in me. And I actually don't even know if I really put it all together until now, what you just said.
Yeah.
So yes, through these mass meditations and things like that, I mean, as a collective, we're manifesting and with the intention to awaken souls around us who are not quite awake yet. We'll just say that. And also how we can bring this to those people in the most peaceful, easy way. Like that was something really big to me. And
Mm.
so last year, I, okay, this is actually a really crazy story now that I think about it. So I jumped onto Telegram for the first time and started my Awakening Mass Meditations group on there. I didn't know what
Yeah.
Telegram really was, but I started to, um, okay, there was actually one beautiful soul who reached out to me and was just like, I love what you're doing. There's other people doing similar things. If you want to join this group, we can get on a call and talk. For me, that was a big deal because I wasn't so much of a I was more of a independent worker, let's say, instead of a
Sure.
collaboration because I didn't know yet what I was missing. And so this beautiful soul introduced me to all these amazing collaborators doing the same thing in
Yeah.
other groups, like admins of other groups. And so we were getting on Zoom chats, just talking about what we want. You know, as individuals, of course, we want the same thing. We want to raise the energies. We want to awaken others. We just want that. And
Yeah.
so merging with these people, collaborating with them, it really was um, it really pushed me to be more, um, I guess, creative in my projects. Awakening World Project was created from this, where everyone can volunteer to become an Earth Tribe volunteer. I send you a pack and you can clean and plant near you. Andrea has signed up
Yeah.
and she's an Earth volunteer. Thank
I've
you.
got it. It's
Yeah, she's
with
a part of the
me.
family.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just like sparked these ideas that I wouldn't have had if collaborators hadn't have put like dropped these seeds of like what we could be doing. That's so much greater. And so it sparked for me creating Awakening World Project, my website in general, and just really everything that I'm doing. Taking it a step further, these people I've collaborated with, um, some of them are in the Summit of Light, but just even pushing and doing the Summit of Light, a lot of these people are the same people that I met last year, which I probably wouldn't have even
Oh,
been a
wow.
part of. Yeah,
Yeah.
or even known about. And so now we're doing, um, well, we were a few months ago doing all our recordings for this. So just meeting new people, different types of collaborations. I mean, you and I met from this. We're now doing this. I mean, this
Yeah.
is just so expansive. And it's really because the mass meditation that we're bringing through to create something that can allow more of a higher
Yeah.
frequency for other souls to magnetize to and allow their journey to awaken.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally a domino effect. This has all happened because of mass meditation. and what I have manifested as a collective. We're all doing this. You're creating your
Yeah.
project. All my souls that I've met that have collaborated with are doing their own projects, and we are literally doing this. And within a year, it's happening. So it's just crazy to see it
That's
in the
wonderful.
physical. Yeah,
So did you but your mass meditations, though, you've been doing that for quite a few years. It's more the collaborative part that you're talking about has been in the
exactly.
last
Yes.
year.
And
Yeah.
creating more of the
Wow.
project and things
Yeah.
like that.
Isn't it
Hmm.
extraordinary, like the way people can come together? And this is for anything, right? The notion of how it used to be, oh, well, she's doing that, she's my competition. That is not
Oh,
even doesn't even
so true.
exist.
I love
Man,
that.
the more you come together,
Mhm.
and everything that's bearing fruit in my life today has come out of, it was even started as, whether it was conversations, meeting people, networking groups, which I stopped doing like a year and a half ago or something, but like I'm actually doing real networking, true collaboration from the heart on all kinds of things. Sometimes there's, monetary stuff connected to it. Sometimes there's just massive group energies. And when I say group, it could be two or more come together, right? And
Yeah,
we make this
absolutely.
amazing thing. Sometimes it's 50 or 60 of us getting together to do the Summit of Light or
Yeah.
other things. And the part that's exciting for me, I was part of a lot of spiritual communities in leadership, right? For many years, most of probably most of my 30s and 40s, in different traditions. And I it was very it was very lonely a lot of times. And I
Yeah.
think for many of us who've been playing solo, we played that way because we just simply couldn't find people to collaborate with, or people weren't ready because there was still that old, just awful mindset of competition. I've been
Yeah,
inviting
that's
people to
huge.
collaborate for 3 or 4 years since the day I left my job, since I stepped out on my own journey. Um, but it's taken literally until about the last year for people to, it was February of last year when really the doors started to open finally. And some of it's worked, some of it hasn't. It's all had
Mhm.
its purpose.
Yeah.
But wow. Yeah, I think that's so great.
Yeah, I really like that you brought that up, because many of us did come from a space where, it's all about, um, competition or judgment or who can be the best. But once you come into the realization that we're all literally doing this as a team, and when we work as a team, we can amplify it that much greater and grand for expansion for everybody.
Yeah.
But even through these collaborations with through Summit of Light and different types of thing where we have different topics literally, and then we come together with people that have those same topics,
Yeah.
that it taught me, or I was able to allow my soul to remember more of just what I thought I knew already. It just expands it more. And so
Yeah.
just to be able to find the connections of people that have like-minded ideas, again, you're not alone. You have people that are on your journey with the same passions, and again, it's not a competition. Uh, it's the opposite. It's literally as a team, and when you work as a team, you can get the job done. And
Yeah.
so I really like that you said that, because I've been able to collaborate with many people that I thought I was alone in, or didn't really think that I could benefit from, let's say. But it has
Yeah.
taken my journey so far. It's like really expanded what I thought I knew to create something new then. So it's really not just expanding, the collective around me, but me personally, which is super exciting. I'm now a
Yeah.
part of this other online, I don't know exactly how to call it, but it's called Spirit Calling. It's similar, where it's just a platform
Nice.
where we all come together and we do share our like-minded things. We're encouraged to create things for our soul. We're encouraged to expand what we came here for,
Yeah.
really. And so this has really sparked me to create courses and sessions to allow discussions if you need assistance or guidance on your journey, or just someone to collaborate with for yourself, like Andrea and I are talking about. Like,
Yeah.
this really, just having the conversations brings you up because it sparks possibilities from your DNA and your soul and everything. And so it really is, the collaboration with others helps myself. It helps it's just all the journey of oneness. And
Yeah.
so once we can see that and start working together, I mean, it's amazing what we're creating.
Yeah. Oh man, so I looked at your site, your the new offerings that you have. Well, first let me just say this. I became a part of Nicole's uh what is it, Awakened World project?
Awakened World Project. Yep.
Okay, and so she sends you this beautiful package. It's got some crystals in there, it's got a garbage picker upper thingy, some bags, some gloves, very handy, very handy. It's a very practical, but also there's so much heart in it. I loved it. And and I keep it in my car and take it with me, and but then I also like you've got, you're a musician, right? You make music, and so I downloaded one of your um how I'm always looking, of course, my thing is sort of, I work with a lot of people on calming their systems and all of these things, and calm guides, that's kind of part of my offerings. And so, oh, here's this track that's devoted to sort of letting go of stress and overwhelm. And so I put that on periodically and listen to it. And like, I've got to say, right, binaural beats are not usually my go-to thing, right? They're not. They're actually kind of jarring to my system.
It can be.
But
Mhm.
there was something, and maybe it's because I know you a little bit, right? But there was something so wonderful inside of that. So I would love to hear about the music. I mean, you're doing a lot of things,
I
Nicole. I
know.
love it because a lot of us are. If we're doing one thing, we're probably doing more than one thing. So tell me about
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
music.
Yeah,
Tell me
thank you
about your
so much.
music.
I really am. It's really been this last year, all my like talents that I didn't know that I really had are just like coming up all over the place. So it's been really exciting. So
Nice.
yeah, so taking frequencies to the next level. I've always, like I said, been into frequencies, and just healing meditations in general have always been great. But I on YouTube, you see, solfeggio frequencies, binaural beats, but when you actually track them to see what the frequencies they are, a lot of the times they're unfortunately not what they say they are. And so I wanted to make sure I was getting the right frequency to get what I need to done it with intention, right? And so I just took it the step further. It's kind of like, if you can't do it right, I'll do it myself, or whatever that saying is. And so I decided to do that. And so I have software where I, lay different frequencies and create these healing frequency tracks of various frequencies, because each, frequency is tailored to its specific emotion or frequency, or things like that. So I have gotten really passionate about creating these tracks, and in addition to created meditations. And so just taking that and creating that, I just know that I'm creating a safe space
Yeah.
essentially for other souls to take on, and allow them to do what their goal is, bringing peace or whatever the intention is.
Yeah.
That's been really fun to expand that, and that what's the word I'm looking for? That skill, I guess, that was hidden that I
Yeah.
didn't know that need to be awakened from my collaborations, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, as a as a as an aside, what do you mean, like, so I work a lot with my writing and with everything I do, right? I work with the intention of embedding or imbuing it with frequencies, you know, it, and I've done a lot of video and recorded meditations around just running energy through the heart, the way I have done quantum healing work, and play it back and it's there, it is there. You feel it.
Yeah,
Um, and so how does that work? What does that mean? Is there a track? Is it like connected to certain notes? Can you explain that? I just out of pure
absolutely.
personal curiosity, I've always
No, it's a
wondered
good
how
question.
people.
This is how I think too. I need that like that connection. So we are frequencies, we are energies. And so depending on what we're surrounding ourselves with throughout our day, our thoughts, our food, literally everything is frequency. And so we could be running at, let's say, a super high beta state, which is pretty normal for people. And so we're in a really fast, let's say 14 waves per second or something like that. Okay, so it's really fast. You might be feeling anxiousness or just like a little uptight, short, whatever this is. Okay, this is just an example. So you're
Sure.
running at this frequency. And so binaural beats, solfeggio frequencies, and these different types of healing vibrations. Um, when I go into my software, you can just decide what frequency you want as the baseline, essentially.
Mhm.
And each specific frequency correlates to a different um, state of mind, we'll say, because everything is
Sure.
frequency. And so running at our base state, I'm like maybe in a anxious state. But when I put a frequency that is designed for, say, 528 hertz, we'll use for
Mhm.
your heart and unconditional love. Once you can allow that frequency to come into your system, your frequency that you were at is no longer at that frequency because it's been overridden by a different one. So it creates its new frequency now that is bringing you up from your normal
Mm.
calibration. It's literally like calibrating your body, like you calibrate a machine. That's how we're working. So when we put on a frequency that is literally from our source, our higher self, and is unconditional love, by allowing that to come into your state, your frequency is no longer what you were because now we're a new frequency. Now we're a higher frequency, allowing different types of emotions and feelings to come in, whatever that specific frequency is. So another one is I just did one for 741 hertz. 741 hertz is more of like a detox for your organs and just it's kind of more of a detox for negativity and things like that. So different frequencies are correlate to different states or emotions. And so depending on which one you um, allow in your body is what you're going to end up feeling as a direct match. And so we can essentially trick our system into thinking or not thinking, literally being a new frequency, a new feeling. And so
Yeah.
that's what these energies and frequencies are doing is it's allowing you to get to a new frequency because that's all we are. We're literally raising it up from what we already are, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. I hope I could explain
Yeah.
that right.
No, you did a great job. I mean, it's for people who are really unfamiliar, it might seem like harder to grasp, but once you've begun to
Mhm.
explore it, play with
Absolutely.
these things, you know, it's like in the sort of quantum healing work that I've done, right? We start with you just want to get that good feeling going, right? So you're bringing to mind. I always say go for the low hanging fruit. Go for me, little children laughing
Mhm.
instantly. Whoo, it's like a rose garden just bloomed in my heart, puppies and kittens, all the easy
That's like
stuff.
a 432 hertz. That's why.
Just like it just opens right up. You feel the heart literally open, and then you can lean
Yes.
into that and amplify it. And these are such fun things to play with.
I love it.
Um, I would love to have you come back and actually maybe we could play with some of your music and have you give us a little bit more of a like
Mm.
on the spot tutorial at
Yeah,
some point if you're
that would be
interested. I
amazing.
think like,
I
I'm
have like
curious. I would love to.
I would love to
Like,
share because this is the topic that I enjoy speaking about as well. I just
yeah,
am trying to think of, different types of analogies and perspectives.
yeah,
But once you realize that literally everything is vibrating, like
yeah,
nothing's physical, everything is a pattern or a vibration. And
Yeah.
so it's set to that vibration in order to be that thing. Like if it
Yeah.
was a different vibration, it wouldn't be that thing anymore. It's
Yeah.
literally that vibration for that specific thing. So we can take that idea and be like, that's the thing. We're creators. We can literally do anything. We're magicians. We can
Yeah.
transform.
Yeah.
We forget that. And so
Yeah.
we can take an emotion, say I'm feeling anxious, I'm running at a low frequency, literally my body is in my cells, I'm running slow, for instance, but I'm going to take this opportunity to make my frequency higher and become something new. So I
Yeah.
can allow a new frequency into my system, which is just
Yeah.
literally, we can use that auditorial example, which is nice.
Yeah.
And so it literally, um, it masks, it overrides it, and it
Yeah.
brings you up so you aren't feeling that anymore. This can
Yeah.
be seen on many different ways. For instance, the Dr. Emoto, when
Yeah.
we are dropping water droplets and we play or say, I hate you, or something negative, if we
Yeah.
look at that geometric shape, it's all kinds of chaotic. There's no organization. It looks sick and like sad. And that
Yeah.
is what's going on when we are thinking and feeling these things. We can
Yeah.
see the direct correlation. I love you. You're amazing. And then you see the patterns of geometries so harmonized. We feel this inside as well when we're speaking this. You can
Yeah.
see the literally the difference when you are
Yeah.
in these vibrations of I hate and I love. It's
Yeah.
literally a whole nother shape. And that's what we are as well within. We're all water. I mean, we are just changing our shapes all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember 3 years ago, a client of mine, we were working on a different, very different kind of project for him. And he had really just become enamored with Dr. Emoto, and I had never heard of him before. And um, he we started working on a project together, which we had it's on hiatus. Maybe at some point it will come forward, but it was really about language, and the way that it impacts everything. And that's where putting yourself, in a state of gratitude or appreciation, verbalizing those things and really employing them both for yourself and when you're having a difficult time with somebody, like the quickest way, but probably seemingly the most, it might, remember when you were a kid, right? And you would have a fight with one of your little friends or siblings, and the adults would be like, okay, now you go over and you say you're sorry, and you give each other a hug. And but like saying you're sorry wasn't really enough. It was like, can you say something nice about them or something, that like would totally change the situation. And moving from a state of something's wrong to what is right. Recently, I learned the difference. I say learned, but like I heard this interpretation that I think is so phenomenal: the difference between perfection and excellence, right? Perfection is this looking for what is wrong to make it right. Excellence is looking at what's right and can we make it better? Can we expand it, right?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
where you put your point, your vision, your sight, your connection changes everything, you know?
absolutely. Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
well, we're coming up. We've been on here quite a while. But I really would love to have you come back.
Yeah.
And so uh, the website for Awakening Mass Meditations is,
Awakeningmassmeditations.com.
yeah, and check out all of her beautiful, the music that's on there, the Awakening World Project. The thing I found really cool was that at least, I don't know if it's all, but a lot of your um, music and other downloads are available as a sort of a love offering, donation based, and that goes to support
Yep.
the bigger projects.
Project. Yep.
That's
Exactly.
beautiful. One other thing, right? Your new offerings that you're putting out for sort of private sessions
Mhm.
and the courses you've got. Tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, thank you. So I just created an opportunity if you are looking for either soul purpose or connection or just collaboration, like we were mentioning. I have created courses or just discussion sessions from 15 minutes to an hour where we can just, discuss things, help you understand your mission here and spark up your DNA and all those beautiful activations. And so I have created those courses for you where we can work together and continued work after the fact, not just one session if you want to continue our sessions. So yeah, we have those available and we can do those custom work together. I'm excited
Awesome.
to guide um, and heal and just be on the spiritual journey with everybody and anybody who wants to take that space. So I really encourage anyone to join these sessions and allow me to help guide you and we can work together.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Um, and so your meditations, the mass meditations each month, are they hosted like on YouTube
Yeah, I
or
have a few places. Those are seen YouTube, yes, Telegram, Facebook, and the website itself. They all have the meditation streamed there. The timing changes on the 11th because they can be in different time zones. But the website, YouTube, Telegram, Facebook, you'll all see the meditation there on the 11th of every month.
awesome.
Yeah.
And Nicole said she was always looking for collaborators to do those. So on July 11th, I'm been invited to share that. That will be my birthday. So I thought
Yay.
that sounded like a really wonderful thing to do to bring people together.
I'm
So
so
thank
excited.
you for that opportunity.
Thank
So
you
check
for
check
inviting.
it out.
It'll
Yeah.
be a good one.
Um, all right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Let's hear just one thing you want to share, a word of encouragement with somebody who maybe they're new to this or maybe they're ready to go a little deeper and they're not quite sure what their next step is. What would you say to that?
Yeah, so I would say the best thing that you can do is trust yourself. You are doing exactly what you need to do. And you can even take it further by getting into a state of meditation. Meditation, and you will become your own best friend. And once you learn that about yourself, you're going to be so in love with yourself. It's going to be so exciting to see what you can do. So I just encourage that. Take it one step at a time, have peace and love for yourself. There's no rush, there's no competition. It just is. And you're doing exactly
Yeah.
what you need.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you so much.
we'll have all of her links in the description for this podcast. And um, I thank you for showing up to listen. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for taking the time for yourself and um, and following your own curiosity through to the end. It's going to take you everywhere. So
Mm,
with that,
absolutely.
peace out, people.
Thank you.